In the past, most Raptors opponents dreaded playing at Scotiabank Arena. It was no secret for a number of years the Toronto Raptors' home court advantage had been one of the league's strongest for so long, a place where opponents knew they'd be in for a very tough night. However, this very same attribute that has been a pillar of strength for the Raptors for so many years appears to be of little relevance to them, if any at all. Despite the team's 9-13 overall record and 2-8 home record this season, the Raptors have sold out every game, at least in terms of ticket sales. And when you consider that the Toronto Raptors have battled so much at the Scotiabank Arena compared to their 7-5 record and stellar away play, it's hard to understand why they haven't performed as well at home as they have in opponents' buildings. It's possible that some of it stems from a sense of familiarity with the road. Raptors head coach Nick Nurse remarked that the road has a different routine that makes things simpler at times, meaning distractions that you wouldn't encounter on the road do exist when you're at home. Hostile audiences have a double-edged sword. Some players, including Fred VanVleet, thrive on the us versus the world mindset that is created in such environments. By the way, before we get to the meat and potatoes in this one, if I can just get you guys to like and subscribe, it really does go a long way so more Raptors fans and NBA fans such as yourselves can enjoy this content. With that being said, let's move on. On Wednesday, VanVleet stated, and I quote, "That's simply how I'm created. As a result, it's an easier way to lock in when you know it's you versus the world. And you gotta lock in. You gotta have some guts and the fight and the tenacity to play on the road. That's hard for everyone." This is most likely the same mentality that has been serving Freddie when he had to duel Steph Curry for the World Championship in the 2019 NBA Finals. When he's on the road, VanVleet tends to be better than he is at home, with better shooting percentages from the field, long range, and free throw line. He has an offensive rating higher than when he played in Toronto or in Tampa. Now granted, Tampa games were not actual home games, but this seems to be a trend for the undrafted veteran. 2021 NBA Rookie of the Year candidate Scottie Barnes, when he was playing for FSU, also shared this similar trait of performing a point a game better on the road than he did when he was playing at home in Florida State University or in neutral game sites. Not to mention his field goal percentages away from home were 55% in comparison to his 46% while he was playing in FSU. A drastic 9% difference in field goal percentage. Now, Barnes said in regards to this, "I enjoy playing on the road, but I'm okay with playing at home as well. You're gonna have that hostile environment because the fans are going against you. They're trying to amp up their team. Raptors fans may convert Scotiabank Arena into a hostile environment for the team if Toronto continues to win just 20 to 23% of its home games. And if this trend continues to happen, the Raptors front office management may have to react." Now, with all this being said, let's look at some key areas that need improvement in order for the Raptors to better their home record. Now, given the fact that the Raptors haven't played a game with a full healthy roster as of yet, it isn't too hard to pinpoint this as the major reason for their struggles at home. Now, despite this being a major factor in these struggles, the inability to score, especially against front courts that feature serious big men. A perfect example would be Steven Adams and Jaren Jackson Jr. when the Raptors faced off against the Memphis Grizzlies a few nights ago. The Raptors' lack of a proper interior floor spacing big man has proven problematic for them when it comes to putting the ball in the basket efficiently. For 2 consecutive off seasons now, the Raptors have had the opportunity to fix that glaring hole at center. But for a number of reasons, which can only be chalked up to guessing games and perhaps speculation as to why this is the case, the Raptors have not addressed this glaring hole in their roster ever since the departure of former key cog big men Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol. The guesses as to why this has been the case league-wide have varied heavily. From one end of the spectrum, assuming the Raptors are choosing to opt for length and a positionless style of play, sort of like small ball with added length and versatile two-way switchability, given the lineups we've featured thus far. The other side of the spectrum suggests that the Raptors will swing a deal once they have the right one in place, and that a trade is imminent sometime this season, perhaps at or before the trade deadline. so that they can finally have themselves a viable post presence that can also stretch the floor, thus allowing more space, which creates chances for players on offense to execute much more efficiently. As an example, Pascal Siakam is an extremely capable and effective one-on-one player. However, he hasn't been able to put this ability on display to its fullest, mainly due to the fact that paint defenders tend to rotate over to him when he's attacking. Head coach Nick Nurse has played Scottie Barnes at center quite a few times this season already. And despite his effectiveness thanks to his ability to space the floor, especially lately, he has been looking as comfortable as ever with his stroke. And that is a great sign of progression for his ongoing development, especially this early in his NBA career. Now, regardless of his long-range shooting success of late, however, his ability to handle formidable post presences has been a great benefit for the Raptors. He may not be the long-term solution at the 5 if the Raptors want to avoid being exposed against matchups featuring serious big men like they did in Memphis. Now, with the return of Japanese sensation Yuta Watanabe, it'll be a very big welcome boost to the team overall, adding to the defense length and three-point shooting. Regardless, even with Yuta back and capable of playing multiple positions, teams have still managed to expose the lack of scoring that the Raptors have been displaying in the paint. The same goes for Isaac Bonga, who has been solid on defense. He's been holding his own, albeit ineffective, in terms of his offensive efficiency. On the flip side of things, the Raptors won their second game in a row against the Wizards last night in commanding fashion. Pascal Siakam scored 31 points in dominating fashion and on high efficiency. And when this team is clicking, even without OG Anunoby, they can be a problem for anyone in the East, even without a true big man who can stretch the floor. I personally believe that since the Raptors have so many different weapons to throw at opponents at their disposal, it's important to have as much of a variety of those weapons as you can. And the one weapon that the Raptors lack in their toolset is that true center who can stretch the floor. Adding this weapon to their toolset could catapult their status in this league from just a potential playoff team to a dark horse contender for the Eastern Conference crown. And if all boxes are checked, meaning if the Raptors can stay healthy, if the players keep familiarizing themselves with the systems that the coaches put in place, and most importantly, if they continue to play with fire and the desire to win, then that could make them potential finals contenders. A seemingly far-fetched, but not impossible scenario. It seems at this point only time will tell what Raptors front office management has in store for this team. One thing is certain though, Masai and co have patience, and they make the right choices rather than going with impulse. It is no secret that this is one of the main attributes that make him one of the top executives in this league. Exhausting alternative routes before going with the NBA status quo for roster makeup is a risk. But any team that has made a fundamental difference in the history of this league in terms of the way the game is played and the style in which NBA rosters are constructed have been risk takers. And some of those risks cause major changes to not only the way the game is played, but to the landscape of what roster makeup in the NBA should look like. Thank you all so much for listening. Do hit that like and subscribe button. This is your boy Ali from Jurassics. And by the way, I did have a question for you before I do let you go. And I am interested in knowing, what do you guys think has been the biggest reason for our losing record at home this season? Let me know in the comments section. That'll be fantastic, and I'd love to hear your insights. Have yourself a good afternoon, good evening, good night. Peace.